1962, Bell Telephone Laboratories in Murray Hill, New Jersey. Scientists and engineers are working on the next generation of telecommunications technology. The telephone system is expanding rapidly across America. More people are making calls, conversations are traveling longer distances, and the microphones used in telephones have serious problems. The condenser microphones of the early 1960s are large, expensive, and require external power supplies. They're fragile and sensitive to temperature and humidity. They produce inconsistent sound quality. They're difficult to manufacture in large quantities. For Bell Labs, trying to provide telephone service to millions of Americans, these limitations are a major obstacle. In an acoustics research lab at Bell, a young black electrical engineer named James Edward Macchio West is working on a solution. He and his colleague Gerhard Sessler are experimenting with a new type of microphone based on electret materials, substances that can hold a permanent electrical charge. Over the next few months, West and Sessler will invent a microphone so effective, so reliable, and so practical that it will become the most widely used microphone in human history today. Over 60 years after West's invention, 90% of all microphones manufactured worldwide use his electret design. That's over 2 billion microphones produced annually. They're in your smartphone, your laptop, your tablet, they're in hearing aids, baby monitors, security cameras, and voice assistants. They're in cars, airplanes, recording studios, and conference rooms. Every phone call, every video chat, every voice recording uses technology James E. West invented. Yet if you ask people who invented the modern microphone, almost no one knows his name. If you study electrical engineering, you'll learn about microphone technology without learning about the black engineer who created the industry standard. If you research telecommunications history, you might find West mentioned briefly in technical papers, but rarely in popular accounts. Today, we're going to explain exactly what James E. West invented, how the electret microphone works, why it revolutionized audio technology, and how one black engineer created technology used in billions of devices while receiving minimal public recognition. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel. We're documenting the black scientists and engineers who created modern technology but were systematically erased from history. What they hide in textbooks, we reveal here. Hit that subscribe button now. James Edward Macchio West was born on February 10, 1931, in Farmville, Virginia. His parents recognized early that James had an exceptional curiosity about how things worked. As a child, he took apart radios, clocks, and household appliances to understand their mechanisms. He built his own radio from spare parts. He conducted electrical experiments in his family's basement, once accidentally short-circuiting the entire house's electrical system. Growing up in Virginia during segregation, West attended all-black schools with limited resources and outdated equipment. Despite these obstacles, he excelled in mathematics and science. He was particularly fascinated by electricity and sound. He built crystal radio sets and amplifiers, teaching himself electrical engineering principles through experimentation. West's high school physics teacher initially tried to discourage him from pursuing science, warning that limited opportunities existed for black scientists and engineers. This skepticism only strengthened West's determination. He decided he would become a scientist regardless of the barriers he faced. In 1957, West earned his bachelor's degree in physics from Temple University in Philadelphia. He immediately joined Bell Telephone Laboratories, one of the premier research institutions in America. Bell Labs had a relatively progressive hiring policy compared to other technology companies, recruiting talented scientists and engineers regardless of race, though black employees remained rare. At Bell Labs, West was assigned to the acoustics research department. His job was to improve microphone and audio technology for telephone systems. This assignment would define his entire career and lead to one of the most important inventions in telecommunications history. To understand West's breakthrough, you need to understand how microphones worked in the early 1960s and what problems they had. Microphones convert sound waves, which are vibrations in air, into electrical signals that can be transmitted, recorded, or amplified. The quality of this conversion determines the microphone's performance. The dominant microphone technology in the early 1960s was the condenser microphone. Here's how it worked. Two metal plates are positioned very close together with a small air gap between them. One plate is fixed in place. The other plate is a thin, flexible diaphragm that vibrates when sound waves hit it. The plates are electrically charged, creating a capacitor. When the diaphragm vibrates, the distance between plates changes, which changes the capacitance, which creates an electrical signal corresponding to the sound wave. Condenser microphones could produce good sound quality, but they had serious limitations. First, they required an external power source to maintain the electrical charge on the plates. This made them impractical for portable devices. Second, they were expensive to manufacture because they required precision assembly and high-quality materials. Third, they were sensitive to environmental conditions like temperature, humidity, and physical shock. Fourth, they were relatively large, making miniaturization difficult. For Bell Labs, trying to provide reliable telephone service to millions of people, these limitations were unacceptable. They needed a microphone that was small, cheap, reliable, didn't require external power, and could be mass-produced consistently. No existing technology met these requirements. James E. West and his colleague, Gerhard Sessler, began researching electret materials as a possible solution. Electrodes are materials that can hold a permanent electrical charge, similar to how magnets hold a permanent magnetic field. If an electret could replace the externally powered plates in a condenser microphone, it would eliminate the need for external power while maintaining the condenser's sound quality. West and Sessler experimented with different electret materials. They tested various polymers, trying to find materials that could hold a stable charge indefinitely. They developed processes for charging these materials and maintaining the charge under different environmental conditions. They designed microphone structures that could use electret materials effectively. The breakthrough came when West and Sessler discovered that certain fluoropolymer materials could hold an extremely stable electrical charge when processed correctly. They developed a manufacturing process that charged these materials with thousands of volts, creating a permanent electrostatic field. They then configured this charged material as one plate of a capacitor. With a metallic diaphragm as the other plate, the result was revolutionary. The electret microphone West invented had all the benefits of condenser microphones, high sensitivity and good frequency response, but none of the drawbacks. It didn't require external power because the electret material provided a permanent charge. It was smaller because it didn't need a power supply or voltage converter. It was cheaper to manufacture because the design was simpler and used less expensive materials. It was more reliable because it had fewer components that could fail. And it was more durable because the electret material was stable across a wide range of temperatures and humidity levels. On February 5, 1962, West and Sessler filed their patent application for the electroacoustic transducer, the formal name for what would become known as the electret microphone. The patent was granted on February 19th. This patent would become one of the most commercially successful patents in Bell Labs history. Let me explain exactly why West's invention was so revolutionary and why it became the industry standard. The electret microphone solved every major problem with previous microphone technology. It was small enough to fit in portable devices that were becoming popular in the 1960s and 70s. It was cheap enough to manufacture that, including a microphone and consumer electronics, became economically viable. It required no external power, making it perfect for battery-powered devices. It was reliable enough that manufacturers could depend on it working consistently across millions of units. But perhaps most importantly, West's electret microphone had excellent acoustic performance. It captured sound accurately across the full range of human hearing. It had low noise levels, meaning it didn't introduce hissing or distortion. It had high sensitivity, meaning it could pick up quiet sounds effectively for telecommunications, recording, and consumer electronics. These performance characteristics were ideal. Bell Labs immediately recognized the commercial potential of West's invention. They licensed the technology to electronics manufacturers worldwide. By the 1970s, electret microphones were being used in hearing aids, transforming the industry by making hearing aids smaller, more effective, and more affordable. By the 1980s, they were standard in telephones, tape recorders, and early mobile phones. By the 1990s, they were in computers and camcorders, and by the 2000s, they were in every smartphone, tablet, and portable electronic device. Today, 90% of all microphones manufactured use West's electret design. Over 2 billion electret microphones are produced annually. They're in smartphones, laptops, tablets, smartwatches, hearing aids, baby monitors, security cameras, voice-activated assistants like Alexa and Siri, automotive, hands-free systems, aviation headsets, musical instruments, recording equipment, medical devices, industrial sensors, and thousands of other applications. Every time you make a phone call, West's microphone captures your voice. Every time you send a voice message, use voice-to-text or speak to a voice assistant. You're using West's technology. Every video conference, every podcast recording, every security camera with audio uses microphones based on West's invention. The economic impact is staggering. The global microphone market is worth several $billion annually, with electret microphones representing the vast majority of units sold. The telecommunications industry, worth trillions of dollars, depends fundamentally on West's microphone technology. The hearing aid industry, which helps millions of people, was revolutionized by electret microphones that made devices smaller and more effective. James E. West didn't stop with the electret microphone. Over his career at Bell Labs, which lasted until 1992, and then as a professor at Johns Hopkins University, West continued innovating in acoustics and audio technology. He holds over 250 patents. He developed improved microphone designs for specific applications. He created acoustic measurement techniques. He advanced understanding of human hearing and sound perception. West's contributions to science and engineering have been recognized by his peers in the scientific community. He's received numerous prestigious awards. In 1999, he was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame, alongside Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, and other legendary inventors. In 2006, he received the National Medal of Technology, the highest honor for technological achievement in the United States. From President George W. Bush, he's a member of the National Academy of Engineering. He's received honorary doctorates from multiple universities. But here's the disconnect. While West has been recognized within scientific and engineering communities, he remains virtually unknown to the general public. Most people who use his technology every day have never heard his name. Most technology history accounts don't mention him. Most discussions of telecommunications don't credit him. Compare this to inventors of far less significant technologies who are household names. Compare this to white engineers whose contributions were less impactful, but who are celebrated in museums and textbooks. The pattern is clear. Black inventors, even those whose work impacts billions of people, are systematically excluded from popular recognition. This exclusion isn't accidental. It reflects how technology history has been written and taught. Textbooks emphasize individual white male inventors as lone geniuses, while ignoring collaborative work and minimizing contributions by black scientists and engineers. Museums celebrate certain inventors while excluding others based on race rather than impact. Popular culture perpetuates myths about who creates technology, excluding black innovators from the narrative. James E. West faced discrimination throughout his career, though he rarely discussed it publicly. At Bell Labs, he was often the only black engineer in his department. He faced skepticism from colleagues who doubted a black engineer could make significant contributions. He was passed over for promotions and management positions given to less accomplished white colleagues. Despite holding hundreds of patents and generating billions in revenue for Bell Labs, he was paid less than white engineers with similar accomplishments. But West persevered. He focused on his research, his teaching, and mentoring the next generation of engineers. He's been particularly committed to increasing diversity in STEM fields, recognizing that young black students need to see role models and understand that science and engineering are fields where they belong. West has spoken about the importance of exposing young people, especially minorities, to science and engineering early. He's worked with programs that bring STEM education to underserved communities. He's mentored numerous black students and engineers. He understands that representation matters and that his story can inspire others. In interviews, West has expressed frustration not at lack of recognition for himself personally, but at the broader pattern of excluding black scientists from technology history. He wants young black students to know that black engineers have made fundamental contributions to modern technology. He wants them to understand that the barriers are real but can be overcome. He wants them to see themselves as potential innovators and inventors. Today, at 92 years old, James E. West continues advocating for diversity in STEM. He continues speaking about the importance of inclusive education and representation. And his electret microphone continues powering billions of devices worldwide. Think about the scale of impact. West's invention is used more widely than almost any other single technology. More people use West's microphone every day than use most other inventions we celebrate in history books. The economic value generated by his invention exceeds that of many famous inventors, yet his name remains largely unknown. This represents a massive failure of historical documentation and education. We teach students about inventors whose contributions were far less impactful while ignoring West. We celebrate innovation while excluding one of the most successful inventors in history from the celebration. We claim to value STEM achievement while denying recognition to a black engineer whose work impacts billions. But we can change this by subscribing to this channel, by sharing these videos, by teaching this history. We ensure James E. West receives the recognition he deserves. What they hide in textbooks, we reveal here. What they refuse to teach, we learn together. Here's what you need to do. First, subscribe to this channel right now. We're documenting black scientists and inventors who created modern technology. Second, share this video everywhere. Tag technology companies that use West's microphones. Make noise about this. Third, teach your children about James E. West. Show them that a black engineer invented the microphone technology in their devices. Fourth, every time you use a microphone, remember James E. West. Every phone call, every voice message, every video chat, that's West's technology making it possible. Fifth, demand better from education. Contact universities and ask why West isn't featured prominently in engineering history courses. Contact museums and ask why his story isn't told. James E. West invented technology used by billions of people daily. He holds over 250 patents. He received the National Medal of Technology. He revolutionized telecommunications, audio technology, and helped millions of hearing-impaired people. He deserves to be celebrated as one of the most impactful inventors in history. What they hide, we reveal. What they refuse to teach, we learn together. James E. West powers the microphones in over 90% of devices worldwide. It's time the world knew his name. Subscribe, share, and help us reclaim this history. In our next video, we'll expose another hidden black genius who revolutionized computer technology and created Silicon Valley. James E. West gave technology its voice. Now let's give him the recognition he earned.